please.
Commissioner Carter. Here. Commissioner Hale. Commissioner David.
Here.
Commissioner Zockert. Commissioner Mobley.
Here.
You have quorum, sir.
Thank you. For those who not attended a zoning commission meeting, I'd like to explain to you a little bit how the process and procedure works. We will read out the petition, and tonight we have one item on the agenda. I would ask the petitioner to come up to the podium and state their name and address for the record. Allow us to ask a few questions about what this petition for rezoning is about, and commissioners may or may not ask a question or two, and then we'll open the floor for anybody that would like to speak in opposition. Property owners who reside within 100 feet of the property were sent notices, plus we put notices of this hearing in our official journal. So the first item and only item we have on the agenda tonight is a petition for rezoning from Craig Jenkins, Post Office Box 4733, Pineville, related to lots 12, 13, square 3 of Grace subdivision with a physical address of 102 Ray Street. The property is currently zoned C1, and they are requesting that the property be changed zoning to C2. In their petition, it says the plan is to demolish a house and to build a 60 by 100 metal building and to move Eagle 2 from 108 Ray Street to 102 Ray Street. Is anyone here representing the petitioner, Mr. Jenkins? Mr. Jenkins, come to the podium, any one of them. Which one is, how are we working TVs tonight? Chris, which podium do they go to? Is it back? Okay, please go to. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Could we ask the council to please be quiet in the back? That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Jenkins, tell us your name again. Tell us your name and address for the record, and then tell us what this request is about.
Yes, sir. My name is Craig Jenkins. My physical address is 153 Adams Path in Pineville, 71360, and I own 5 lots in the Grace subdivision, and the physical addresses are 108 Ray Street and 102 Ray Street. And the purpose tonight is I'm respectfully requesting that we consider changing my property at 102 Ray from C1 to C2. If you would please, I did this to mainly keep me on track, so I didn't talk very long. I was told to be brief. On page 2, I put this picture in there just because, frankly, I never really realized how much green space was around what we finally refer to as Wardville. But the pen there is just to show you the proximity of this property to the expressway. And that's where 108 Ray Street is, but of course 102 is right next to it. If you go to page 3, this is a plot map, and at the top of page 3 you'll see 5 lots that are highlighted in yellow. Those are the 5 lots that I own. They're lots 13, 14, 15, 16, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 Ray Street. The 2 lots that are boxed in red, that's the physical address of 102 Ray Street. So it's lots 12 and 13. Each lot is 56 by 150. So I have 280-foot frontage on Ray Street. And then on each side I have 150 foot on Milton and 150 foot on Ruth Street. If you would please go to page 4. It's a similar plot map, but it's just a little bit bigger, and it shows the 5 lots that we have in question. If you would please go to page 5. That's a picture that I took of 108 Ray Street in 1994 when I bought it. So I've owned that property for 30 years. And I never really remembered it when I was here the years before, but it was a grocery store, convenience mart with gas station capability. And I bought that in 1994. I tore down the front and the roof of that building, and in the bottom on page 5, that's what that building looked like when I was done in 1994. It was 3,300 square foot at that time. I've had a auto restoration business there since 1994. It's a part-time deal for me. I'm retired military. I'm a retired attorney for the federal government out of Fort Polk. And so this helped me make 50 years of marriage, I guess, because for 30 years I've had a place to go on evenings and weekends. If you go to page 6, this is a picture of what 102 Ray Street looked like in 2005 when I bought that property. I frankly bought that property with the intention of tearing it down because it was just not a very pretty place. But they wanted so much money to tear it down, my wife and I decided we would put that money into the house and make it into a rental property, which is what we did. We've remodeled that property 3 times since 2005. It's 1,200 square foot. Looks way better on the inside, perhaps, than it does on the outside. And it's been a great house for us. But I have water problems on this property, and I've talked to our Public Works Director about it, and for the first time, frankly, in 30 years, the Public Works Director came out to my property and looked at it. Now, I know I have a responsibility for replacing culverts, but I fully intend on doing that if we can make the drainage better for that part of Ray Street. On page 7, I took this picture, frankly, recently, and it shows my 5 properties. If you look basically in the center of that picture, you can see my original building, which has got 2 eagles painted on the side. The name of the name of my company is Eagle 2. And so, also I like to point out in that picture, as you can see, there's 4 garage doors on that building. When I did it in 94, it only had 2 bay doors on it. I added a 24-foot by 66 addition on it, probably around 2008. I, of course, had a building permit when I did that. You can see on page 7, you can see where the house sits, that's 102. The White House is 102. And to the west of that is another empty lot, which is lot 12. So that house actually is deeded with lots 12 and 13. Lot 13, where the house sits, is probably the lowest lot of the 5 I got. And unfortunately, I've tried to deal with this for the past 19 years, but it gets water under the house. I've tried to minimize it over the years, but water does get under there, and it's actually rotted the floors out once in the last 19 years. I'm 71. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to be as physical as I am, but I don't want to put floors in that house again. And so, unfortunately, I think the time's probably come where I need to take the house down. And that it saddens me in a way, but it's been good for me for the past 19 years, but I don't think it's got a long-term future just by the way it was constructed. And if you go to the last page, that just shows lots 12 and 13, a little bit better view of it. And that picture was taken from where Ray Street actually meets Milton. That's where Ray Street starts. Apparently years ago, certainly before I bought it, there used to be a stop sign there, but I think it turned into a smooth curve over the many decades ago. So my plan is, I'm going to probably have to take that house down, and then I want to put another building on lots 12 and 13. I won't do that until we address the drainage issues that exist with that property. I like my property. It's been great for me, and I don't mind putting money into the property, But I don't want, if something happens to me, I just don't want my wife to have to deal with all that property, particularly with the rent house. So I respectfully request that my other property, original property was zoned C1 as well, 108 Ray Street where Eagle 2 sits, the blue building. It was zoned C1 when I bought it. In 2001, I went before this committee and we upgraded it to C2 so I could have my auto restoration business there. So I'm currently C1 on lots 12 and 13, and I just respectfully request that I have your support in changing that to C2, and I most likely will be putting another building on there once I take the house down. I got great renters. You don't say that very often when you're a landlord. Of course, I only have one house I rent. I've notified them, and I'm going to help them find another place if that actually happens, because they're really good people.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins, you answered my question. I just wanted a verification that your existing place is zone C2. And
It is.
And, okay.
Subject to your
Any
questions, that concludes my presentation.
Let me,
Great
y'all have any
presentation.
questions? Very good presentation. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Let me ask those in attendance, is there anyone here that would like to make any other comments, speak in opposition or otherwise? Let the record
Thank you.
note that no one has requested to speak in opposition. Mr. Clerk, and just always like to confirm this, we did send the notices out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I see them in our packet. Commissioners,
I'd like to make a motion, we accept it.
motion's on the floor to accept.
I second it.
A second. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. It's the only item on the agenda. Mr. Jenkins, we will present our recommendations to the city council at the upcoming meeting that will start in 15, 20 minutes or so. You're welcome to stay to hear that presentation. The city council will then consider it. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all. We stand adjourned.